Hello and welcome to 8 Hardy Free Speech. God almighty, what is the world coming to? It's going mental, 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 mental. I reposted a video yesterday called Plandemic Movie from plandemicmovie.com. It's the one with Dr. Judy Mikovich, PhD, who explains the first part, 25 minutes, what happened with her, Dr. Fauci, etc., from her own mouth. Okay? So that's about as close as we can get to the truth because it's coming out of her own mouth. I put that up yesterday because on their website it said, please download this and upload it as many times as you can. So I did that. And just on my little YouTube channel, I had over 2,000 hits in less than 22 hours. 2,000 hits in less than 22 hours before it was taken down by YouTube from this channel. Now, I've said before on here, it's not my property. It's YouTube's property because I tick the box, terms and conditions. I get it. It's their platform. They can do what they want. But if you now go to plandemicmovie.com, it's not on there either. Don't know why. There's no explanation, but it can only be something legal or whatever that somebody somewhere doesn't want us to hear what this lady's got to say. And as I've said before, you might be a complete knobhead who is talking shit. I might be a complete knobhead and I might be talking shit. But we've all got a right to say it. And then anybody who cares to listen has got their own right to make their mind up about what they've heard. If all we ever get is the BBC bollocks narrative, we just end up with a nation of people with BBC bollocks brains. And that's what we've got. I'm going to come to what are we going to do about this because it's simple. Okay, it is simple. I just want to read you. I really thought this was a joke because at the minute there's a lot of light-hearted stuff flowing about on, think people send you stuff on WhatsApp and I mean I don't do social media, but even I see there's a lot of jokes, like a picture of what's supposed to be who was it? Anyway, all these funny pictures and stuff. And I got this from Bex. Now, Karen and Bex were regular guests on Raconteurs News. Bex has got a brother. He lives sort of Nottinghamshire-ish. And this is the text I got off Bex. Okay. This is not a joke. I did at first think it was, but it's not. And this came to me about 3 hours ago. My brother went to the pets at home today with the girls. He's got two girls that are about, both under 10, I would say, to buy a hamster. So they've gone to a pet shop with Daddy, day before bank holiday, VE Day, to buy a hamster. All good so far. Okay. So he gets all the shit for the hamster, the cage, all the rest of it. Can we buy the hamster? Sorry, you can't buy the hamster because it's non-essential, says the shopkeeper. Then a lady came to the till and purchased a fish. So Lee, Bex's brother, looks and says, hang on a minute. How come the fish is essential? And apparently fish are on the essential items list. The sales assistant then said he wanted to take Lee's details so that he could contact him once the ban was over and he would then be allowed to buy a hamster. I'm pausing because I don't know what the fuck to say. That's what us, have let this get to. We've allowed this to happen. Us. What the fuck? Can't buy a fucking hamster? Fucking hell. Then I've got people texting me saying, oh, we're going to protest. Don't protest. Protest is a legal, not lawful, a legal stance. Okay? If you are happen to be where people are protesting as an innocent bystander who just happened to get caught up in it, that's a completely different legal stance. Or if you're a journalist, even if you're a private journalist recording something, that's not protesting. But I want to talk to you about protesting. Let's just imagine for a minute you are inside this big ivory tower. You're the boss because you say you are. And everybody downstairs is protesting with their banners. And it can be about anything. But you're the one that they want you to change your mind about something. But you're in charge. You're the one in the ivory tower. When all them people are downstairs in the sunshine, in the rain, whatever, with the banners, with the placards, shouting, Tommy, 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 or what other shithead name they're calling. If you're in the ivory tower, are you sat there thinking, wow, we better do something here, because otherwise they're not going to like it? Or do you think you would sit in your ivory tower looking down at them and thinking, what are these idiots doing? Do they not realise that we don't care? Because that's what protesting is. You are asking permission. Stop asking permission. Stop it. Stop it. Does you no good. It just proves that you're a slave. So forget protesting. Just get on with it. In the next street to me, they're having a street party tomorrow. And good for them. And I hope they don't sit 2 fucking meters apart. I hope they just have a good time. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with the street party for VE Day. Because, sadly, all the men that went to fight in the wars didn't really fight for what they thought they were fighting for. Including my great-granddad, whose grave I've been to in Holland. So, stop protesting. Stop protesting. Because they don't care what you think. So, have your street party. Don't have a protest. Today, just after I noticed the video had been took down off my YouTube channel, which I mean, from a money point of view, I don't care. Because this platform, my YouTube, is not and will not be monetized. All right, we could all do with the money, but what is it? What is this money? It's their bloody system, and sadly, it's all we've got at the moment. It's all we've got at the moment. But if we monetize it, that gives them some pressure that they're going to take it off me. Well, they can bollocks. It's their platform. They can do what they want. If they can take me down now if they want. But I'll have me say, and hopefully a few people might listen and maybe think the same and spread it about. And I hope you're one of those people. But today I went down to my neighbour was good enough to lend me a car again. Thanks, Karen. And I went down to the supermarket. There were 3 that I wanted to go to, 3 shops for 3 different things. Because, of course, now you can go out, but there's nowhere to go. None of the nice places are open. The pubs are not open. You can't go anywhere. You can't go watch a football game. Nothing like that. You can't even have 20 people stood together in London without coppers coming in arresting them. So when we've got all these people in a queue outside a shop, let's do what I did today. Normally, I would have been either biting my tongue and spitting feathers thinking, why are all these tossers stood in this queue when so am I? Because I don't have a bloody choice. But the difference is what I did today, I stood there and I shouted, well, not shouted, but I spoke lightly across the car park. Does anybody else think that this is madness? And about 12 of the people stood there and just sort of looked at me and thought, oh God, who's this knobhead? But one bloke, about 4 or 5 people in front of me, turned around and went, yeah, I do, mate. So he and I had a fairly intelligent conversation across the car park. Now, the other people weren't involved in that, but they heard it. And that's what we've got to do. So at 8 o'clock tonight, when all your neighbours are out there banging the pans and rattling the knickers or whatever they're doing, instead of doing that tonight, I'm going to shout and I'm going to ask them, does anybody else not think this is madness? Because somebody might say yes. And if there's 2 of us, there's no reason why there can't be 4 of us. And if there's 4 of us, there's no reason why there can't be 8 of us. And if there's 8 of us, there's no reason why there can't be 16 of us. We've just got to ask the question. Because I've either been stood there in these queues, biting my tongue, thinking, I can't fucking believe I'm doing this. Or I've been on my soapbox. But today, I did it different. And today, I just said, does anybody else think this is madness? And one guy said yes. So I wasn't 1, I then became 2. And that's what we've got to do. When we're in public, let's just ask strangers, does anybody else think that this is madness? Because just a few weeks ago, we had something called Christmas or the holidays. And if you'd have said to any of us then, in just a few weeks' time, you're not going to be going out your house, would have been called mental for even thinking that. But look at us. Look at us. Look at what we've allowed to happen. Us. We've got to stop blaming everybody else, stop protesting, stop asking for permission, and just fucking get on with it. Now, I know we haven't got many places to go, but we've got to get out there. And when we're out there, walking your dog, walking to the top of the street, let's be asking people, does anybody else think that this is madness? Because it can't just be us. Come on, it can't be just us. Talk to our neighbours. Talk to the people across the car park in the queue for the bloody supermarket. Because it's the only way we're going to change it. Banging on the bloody door as some politician arsehole is not going to get you where you want because you're asking for permission. Stop asking for permission and just be an adult and get on with it. Because if we all did that, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? If even just us, if only the people who thought like we do just said, we're not having this, we're going to talk to each other. You know, you might notice I've had my hair cut because I actually found somebody who was willing to come to my home to do it, who didn't care about all this bollocks. And I thank her very much. My grandson's getting his hair cut tomorrow, and somebody's going to come round to his house and do his as well. And fuck your system that says we can't do that. Bollocks. And people saying, oh, next week we might be allowed to go see my family. Allowed? How old are you? Allowed? I stopped asking for permission and being allowed a long time ago. And we've all got to stop doing it. Am I allowed to do something? If it doesn't hurt anybody else, why should you not be allowed to do it? Because that's common sense. This, what we've got, is not common sense. It's just not. So let's do something positive, something that we all do every day. We talk. So tonight, 8 o'clock, let's ask our neighbours, does anybody else think that this is madness? When we go to the shop, stand in the queue, does anybody else think this is madness? I was walking around Aldi today. I can't afford to go anywhere else anymore. But I was in Aldi today. Sorry for the people who regularly shop at Aldi. So do I. And you could see the people with the fucking mask on, recycling their own coronavirus and restricting their own lungs of oxygen. Hello? But what you could also see was the 8 or 10 people in there who were like me, who didn't give a shit about 2 meters. We just walked around the shop, picked off the shelves what we want, and then stood and talked to each other and went, were you the bloke in the car park who said, does anybody else think this is madness? Yeah, it was me. We've all got to be the guy who says, does anybody else think that this is just madness? We've all got to be that guy. Look, I can't save the world, and I'm not trying to do anything like that. I'm just saying, is it just me that thinks that this is madness? Because it can't be. We're being censored beyond belief, and I know it's their platform. They can do what they want, but they can't stop me talking to my neighbours. So that's what we've got to do. If they're going to deplatform everything, fuck them. Let's try and give them as much to upload as we possibly can. But we've got to do more than that. We've got to be saying to people, does anybody else think that this is madness? Because if this is normal, then the world is fucking abnormal. It's mental. And stop it. Because I know, deep down in here, that we've all got a soul somewhere. And we've got to remind people that asking somebody else for permission is childish. Watching just the BBC is childish. Only having one point of reference for all your information, well, two, Wikipedia and the BBC. Well, even the fucking adverts now. Jesus Christ. Every frigging advert you see, oh, because of coronavirus. We've got this coronavirus pandemic. Everything. You know, I'm just waiting for the bloody sanitary towel advert that says this advert was made before we could stand 2 meters apart. You know, it's just bonkers. And they had that bloody Holly Willoughby or whatever her name is. Actually had, fucking hell, she walked up and touched Philip Schofield the other day, apparently. And don't matter what you think of Holly or Schofield, she just did what is humanly normal. To interact with another human being. And this is what's being taken away. And we are letting it be taken away. So stop protesting, stop asking, stop even recognizing anybody in a fucking dark suit stood in front of a lectern telling you what to think, or Wikipedia telling you, right? And talk to other people. Because if you'd actually didn't have a TV since Christmas, and you'd been poorly, and you just got better today, and you went outside and you went, where's everybody gone? What the fuck's going on? The only thing that's changed is what this thinks. And the only reason it's changed is because of the square thing in the corner of your living room. That's why. So stop protesting, stop asking, stop wanting permission, and just get on with it. Because if we all just get on with it, what are they going to do? Stop us buying fucking hamsters? It's just ridiculous. We've got to start asking people, does anybody else think that this is madness? When you become a salesman, one of the first things that they teach you is try and put your customer in a club that everybody else is already in and say things like, most of my customers have bought this from me, right? So instantly, potential customer thinks, oh, well, if most of his customers have, it immediately puts them into a buying mind thing, NLP. So let's start saying to people, does anybody else, implying that I believe, that this is madness? Because maybe they're just thinking, well, I don't say anything because I'm just on my own. Let's not be on our own. And let's let people know that we don't want to be on our own. And let's say to people, does anybody else think that this is madness? Because it is. It's bloody bonkers. Anyway, for anybody that didn't manage to watch plandemicmovie.com, if I re-upload it, I'm going to go see if I can do another YouTube channel in a minute, see if I can upload it again. But if I re-upload it on this one, they'll just completely take away the channel, which is not what I want to do. So I've had to self-censor. And this is what they've got us doing. They've got us self-censoring. I said I wasn't going to read the comments in the chat room because it's difficult when I'm doing this, because it's just my thoughts. It's not a conversation. But Richard's just put up, they'd probably turn around, Aid, and say, what does thinking mean? You're absolutely right. What does thinking mean? It just means letting your grey matter, rather than a box in the corner, decide what is fucking normal. That's it. So let's start saying to people, does anybody else think that this is madness? Because then all you're doing is applying that you're the one who's mad. I'm mad. I agree, I'm mad. This is madness. Does anybody else agree with me? And thankfully, I had one guy across the car park and some other guys inside the supermarket who would obviously might not be worth coming out and saying, but they clearly thought that way too. Probably not to the extent that I do, but that's what they did. That's what we've got to stop doing. And as for monetization and people being bothered about how much money they're making off YouTube, do you really think that what we call money now is still going to exist soon? Do you? Because I don't. I don't know what we're going to end up with. I don't know what it's going to look like. But I don't think it's going to look like what we've got now. And I think that come a few years' time, it'll look considerably different. But we've got to start somewhere. And we've got to start saying, does anybody else think that this is madness? Because if all 12 or 14 or 16 of us had have thought that this was madness outside that supermarket, we'd have all just walked in and just got on with our shopping. Just like we used to. Because if they wanted this to be easy for us, they'd be opening for more hours a day, not less. We used to have supermarkets open 24 hours a day. There's nowhere open 24 hours a day now. It's curfew. You've been curfewed. Because there's nowhere to go, so you don't go out. They didn't say you can't go out. They just made sure you didn't have anywhere to go out to. You've been curfewed. Like it or not, that's what's happened. We've got to do more. We know what's going on. We've got to ask other people if they'd like to know what's going on. So somewhere in the back of everybody's mind, those people that were in that queue outside that supermarket, I couldn't make all of them listen, but they heard it. Everybody in that car park heard me and that other guy having a conversation for a good 5 minutes. They can't not hear it. Now, they might think, who's the fucking lunatic? But one of them might just have gone home this afternoon and tried to get some information from somewhere that wasn't from some government department called the BBC or some government department called Wikipedia. Because when that's the only information people have got, well, they don't even make decisions. They just do what they're told to do. There's no thought process going on. They are just told what to think. Because they were always told from being 3 or 4 or 5 years old, sit down, this is when you can get up, this is when you can sit down, this is when you can talk, this is when you can't talk, this is when you can read the alphabet, this is when you can write a story, this is when you can go home when the bell rings. Now, they even call them an academy, just like a military academy, because that's exactly what they are. They're not schools. It's a training camp for your brain. Now, we've got to recognise that when you open your door and see your neighbours tonight at 8 o'clock banging pots and pans together, you're not looking at a human being with a brain like you've got. You're looking at something that's got something inside its head that doesn't know how to make a rational thought. Because it's never been asked to before. And that's a very childish way of living. A very adult way of living is basically what we do. We think something's wrong here. And because we're all thinking something's wrong here. You then find out what's going on. And once that's happened, that first domino's fallen, you can't stand it back up again. You can't stand it back up again. Once it's gone, it's gone. And that's happened for us. What we've got to recognise is the people banging pots and pans and the people stood in queues, that's not happened for them. So all we can do is ask them, do they think it's madness? Does anybody else think that this is madness? And the one who says yeah, talk to them. And then get them to ask somebody else, do you think it's madness? Because protesting, number 10, banging on doors, ivory towers, putting a placard up, does nothing. You're asking for permission. Stop asking for permission. Just get on with it. What's it say here? If you want to achieve greatness, stop asking for permission. Actually, if you want to achieve just fucking going out and being normal, stop asking for permission. To be childish is not big and it's not clever. It's small, small-minded, and you're like a sheep. So let's not be sheep. Let's try and be nice to these people that I'm incredibly frustrated at. And let's be asking them. Let's be asking them. Does anybody else think this is madness? Because if you'd have asked them the end of November to stand outside in a queue to go Christmas shopping, they'd have gone, don't be stupid, that's madness. But here they are, they're now doing it. Why? Because of a square box in the corner of the room. That's why. So let's be asking these people, do you not think it's madness that Lee couldn't buy a fucking hamster in a pet shop? It's bonkers. It's crazy. I should have called this, does anybody else think this is madness? But it is about censorship. Not me, I don't give a toss. But they actually took down a movie. Why? Why? Because they don't want the information out there. If it was just bullshit, they'd let it just be out there. Because what harm's it going to do? If just a few tinfoil hat wearing loonies are just going to watch it, why not? Because it's not part of the narrative. And actually, when you look at it, it's logical. And if it's logical, it's probably true. If it's probably true, then people are eventually going to work it out, no matter how dumbed down and stupid you try and make them. But if you keep them all inside, stop them talking to each other, stop them thinking for themselves, this is what you end up with. Everybody queuing up and asking permission. Well, stop it. Let's get talking to people. Talk to people. A week ago down my street, hardly anybody would do anything other than stand at the gate and shout to somebody who stood at the door. Yesterday, I had my haircut. My next door neighbour had his haircut. A woman from 2 doors down, she was with us. And we were all stood in the kitchen having a coffee with 3 or 4 of us having our haircut. Any normal day, that'd be just hand. But now, we can't do that. Because Mrs. Smith at number 2 might ring the police. Well, fucking ring them. It's time to just get on with it. Let's just do it. Just do it. Just talk to people. Does anybody else think this is madness? And see what they say. Because sooner or later, some of them are going to have to start breaking ranks. There's more than just us out there. There's got to be. There's got to be. Oh, dear. This was just supposed to be a 10-minute thing, so I'm sorry if I've gone on, but just let's encourage people to be an adult, take responsibility for their own thoughts and their own actions. Stop asking permission. Just get on with it. Because deep down in here, where it hurts, you know the bit that you can't stop hurting? You can stop this thinking, but you can't stop this, your heart, hurting. When you know it's wrong. And if you didn't think it was wrong, you wouldn't be watching me now. You'd be watching EastEnders or some other shite. Let's just talk to people. Let's ask them, does anybody else think this is madness? I was surprised with the reaction I got. You've just got to not care what anybody thinks. And I stopped doing that a long time ago. So let's get doing this. Let's talk to people. And then hopefully by the end of this bank holiday weekend, oh yeah, let's celebrate all these guys killing each other for some bogus war that was just about money, including my great-granddad. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's celebrate it. All wars are bankers' wars. But we don't have wars anymore. They just keep us locked up. So let's be positive. Time to be positive, people. Let's get talking to our neighbours, friends, anybody who'll listen. Does anybody else think that this is madness? Because I do. And I know that you do. So let's see who else thinks that this is just complete madness. Let's talk to each other. Let's talk to each other, and let's talk to all the people who they're probably going to think we're mad, but fuck it. Let's ask them anyway. Does anybody else think that this is madness? I do. Look, I've spouted enough. Thank you very much for even listening to me, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Ding the subscribe thingy, rattle the belly do for, press the like. Look, it's not about money or likes or whatever. Just spread the word. I don't care how many bloody views or whatever. Just show people. Let's get those minds open and let's talk to people. Because deep down they care. We've just got to find it. We've just got to find it. I'll speak to you soon. Thank you.